Hi, my
Beast
name is
or near her
Infinite,
crib.
and you're listening to Infinite Rocket Power. This podcast will be updated on a weekly or bi weekly basis regarding topics in my life and different aspects and perspectives about life. Today's topic is domestic violence. It could be me or it could be you. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and annually 10 million victims. There are 10 million people that are victims of domestic violence. That equals up to 20 people every minute. In turn, that's 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men. This is a volatile cycle that affects children, and it is exposing them to long term effects that are affecting them emotionally, psychologically, and academically. But before we get started, if you love Kate Spade, Bessie Johnson, or any other exclusive jewelry, please visit www.prosperityboutique.com. Be sure that you like and subscribe. How's everybody doing today?
They done good.
Good. Doing good.
Looks like we have some
Wonderful.
looks like we have some new faces in the building, some new energy going on. So I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So before we get started
Yeah.
on the topic, we're gonna start with Dick Tracy. We're gonna introduce ourselves.
Hi, Infinite. Thank you for having me today. My name's Dick Tracy, and I'm relatively new to Horizon Worlds. I'm working on my first world right now. Um, I'll have more information on that later, but excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking about the topic.
Okay. Is that the same Dick Tracy
Awesome.
that was in Poetry 101 the other day? In the Red Room last night?
Absolutely, absolutely. If you are into
Yes.
poetry, you like hearing poetry, or you want to share poetry yourself, we perform in Poetry 101 Thursday nights, I believe 8 p.m. Central, and then Saturday nights, the Red Room, 9 p.m. Central.
All right, be
Yeah.
sure to check it out.
Yeah.
Hey, is that Miss B or Roma Sin? How you doing, B? You want to introduce us to you, Miss B?
I am so sorry. I was on mute. I'm so sorry. Hello to all you out in YouTube land. Yes, my name is B. I am the owner and creator of B Aroma Scent. That is a hair and beard care company. It is a nut-free and nut ingredient-free hair and beard care company. It's organic and herb infused. And I have a store here in Horizon that I built to represent my business and market my business here in Horizon. So come on down and shop with me.
All right. Visit www.bearomaset.com for all your hair care needs. All right. Who we have here? Is that Miss Cutie?
Yeah, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? I am Cutie the Sweetest. Some people know me by making a lot of cartoon characters in all my worlds. Um, I'm happy to be here today. I'm really on podcasts, but I am honored to be here with my girl from Memphis 10. You know what I'm saying? I'm always gonna represent that. So, how y'all doing?
Is that the artist Cutie? The famous artist that's doing all this Egyptian architecture?
Yeah, it's me. It's me. It's me. Yeah,
Awesome.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yes, cutie.
Yeah.
All right, and we have another lovely lady here, Miss Taylor May.
Hey, my name is Taylor May. I don't have any worlds right now, but I'm just here. I just support everybody in their worlds. I come to support
Um,
everybody. So that's just me world hopping and all that stuff. And
I
that's all I do.
I love the energy.
Yes.
I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
So today's topic is domestic violence, and we're going to talk about, when you hear these numbers of, 20 people in a minute, how does that hit your ears?
That's yeah, that's sad. It's devastating. It's sad to know that so many people are going through something like this, and and continue to go through domestic violence. And for some people, I know there's lots of outlets out there, lots of support channels for people who might be going through domestic violence, but the fact that they have to, so many people go through that, it's just, it's unbelievable and it's truly sad.
Bia, when you hear this number 20 people in a minute, how does that hit your heart?
It's disgusting to know that that many people around the world is going through something. And that's why we should check on our friends, check on our neighbors, check on our family, because if it's that many, one of our family members, one of our neighbors, one of our closest friends is going through something.
That's very true.
Yep.
Sure.
Cutie?
Yeah. It is it's heartbreaking, and it hits close to home because I actually lost a stepsister to domestic violence years ago. She was being abused, and she was 19. She came back from college, and her boyfriend actually shot her in the head. So we had to go through that. And even though she wasn't my blood sister, she actually was the sister of my blood sister. So we watched her grow up. So of course she was like my sister. And so domestic violence, like the stuff that we didn't know that she was going through, and for this to happen to her, it always like hits home when I know someone's going through it. And then I grew up in a household where, I saw it. So I always just vowed that I would never let myself go through it. So yeah, it's a real sad situation.
And I appreciate you sharing that story with us. Taylor May, when you hear these numbers, how's it hitting your ears?
It's like it makes me mad and sad at the same time because it's crazy how many like these females they hurt and they don't want to leave their situation and like get away. And I had a cousin who was in a domestic violence, and she would just, but she stayed with him to this day. He was very abusive, but she's staying with him to this day, and it's crazy. Very. It's
Yeah.
just sad. It's
I
just
have
It's
sad.
not so much that they don't want to leave. You got to
Mm,
know their
yeah.
circumstances. She has a reason for staying. It may
Mm,
not be your reason, but she has a reason for
yeah.
staying. And that's what we
Yeah.
have to understand, that what we will put up with, somebody else won't. And what somebody else won't put up with, we won't. So we have to put ourselves
Yeah.
in their shoes, because I've been there. I've been in a domestic violence relationship, and it wasn't that I didn't want to leave at that moment. I couldn't leave.
Mm,
So, so when
yeah.
I was doing the research on this and I was thinking hard on this, do you feel like domestic violence is more prone when you're in? It's like a power struggle.
Yes, yes, on both ends, and it's not always male and female when it comes to domestic violence. Domestic violence is in any relationship. Just friendships, you can have domestic violence. Parent against child is domestic violence. When
Hmm.
anytime you in a power struggle against another human being, that is domestic violence.
Mm,
Yep.
But when we hear the word domestic violence, we always think of male and female, but it's not always. It could be a man against another man. That's still domestic violence, because you're in a power struggle to
That's
control
true.
that person. And that's what you use to control them.
yeah. For sure.
So it seems like enough people aren't getting help. Isn't getting help about this. It's an ongoing cycle because this world continues to be chaotic. This world continues to grow in violence.
Mm-mm.
Well, from my understanding and from where I've been in the situation, back in the day it wasn't so both sides. You know, it was, if the woman said you hit me, the man went to jail. But nowadays they don't play that anymore, because so many women died in that situation, or they found out men were being abused and weren't saying anything. So now you can holler all you want. He hit me. Both of y'all going to jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I ain't playing that at all no more.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I ain't playing that at all no more. It's a sad situation, man, because people like people go through this so often, and then some people want to leave and then they're scared. And I have saw a lot of situations where when they finally try to leave, these people track them down and kill them anyway. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so that's the situation where you like, dang, you feel like, and then the crazy part is like they go to the police and they go and put out reports on these people, and then it's like it still don't save them from
How does a
getting
piece of
killed
paper
or
save your life? How does a piece
right.
of
And
paper
then
save your life?
Yeah.
Oh, I got a
yeah,
restraining order on you. Don't you're not supposed to come near me. But how does a piece of paper save your life when this man done broke in your house and he beating on you, or the woman is beating on you,
hmm
or the mother or the father? Depends on what the situation. But how does a piece of paper save your life?
and it doesn't, and that's why people stay, because they
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, if I leave, if I can't, if I don't have the money to jump,
Right.
somewhere different in the world where nobody can find me or this person can't find me, then I'm not safe. So I'm safer staying here trying to give them the kind of love that I think that they might want to keep me here. You know what I'm saying? To keep me
Mm-hmm.
from being taken out of this world. And so that's why I feel like a lot of people stay and deal with it, and just hope that they'll change. But eventually when they're mad, it's the same thing. So
And it just
yeah,
sounds
it's a
like a
real sad
hostage
situation.
situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You held hostage because you want to leave, but you can't leave. Say for instance, a female and her child. She's not financially stable to leave. So where she's going? Where's she
I'm
going?
sorry.
And then you got some family members be like, oh, he a man. You maybe what you didn't cook his food right. Instead of them
Mhm.
embracing you and taking you in and saying, keeping you safe, they tell you to go back to it because you know why?
Yeah.
That vicious cycle went into them as well. They was in
Oh
domestic violence,
wow.
so they think that that's
Yeah.
okay and you should deal with it because I dealt with it.
Mm,
Yeah.
that's
That's
true.
true.
Mm.
Yeah, it's true. hmm And it's always
Yeah.
some people not taking it. Like it's like some kids, they watching their mom get beat, and then they think like, this is the way it goes. And
Hmm.
then it's people like the way that I saw it. It was like, man, I didn't never want to see myself, you know, in that situation. So instead of me feeling like, well, that's the way it goes, I just wanted to turn it around. So I did have one relationship where um my dude got controlling and he decided that he was going to hit me, but I had already told myself that it would only
No.
be one time. Yeah, I told
Oh
myself, and the
wow.
crazy part about it is he did hit me in front of my daughter. At the time, my daughter, she was only one, and he went through my phone and found some old text messages from a year ago before him, and decided that he was gonna hit me, and he actually punched me in my nose, and my daughter, she jumped on his
Oh.
back, and he bowed and made her fall on the ground. And like, I don't know what, I jumped on him like some kind of cat. It was like it was over
Dang,
with. But I
Protection
when
mode.
when I got off of
Yeah.
him and I got him out my house, like I don't care how I felt about him. It was just like that's over with. It's
Yeah.
like your child. And I looked at my daughter. I'm like, I'm never gonna make her feel like this is something that she has to go through and something that she watched me go
Yeah.
through. So after that, you know what I'm saying? It was like,
Yeah.
nah.
That was the
I'm
last
glad you got out of
time.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to. I had to.
That's
Yeah.
something. Wow.
It seems like an ongoing trend where women are constantly having to choose between their children and their significant other.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, you have to.
Exactly.
Gotta choose, cause yeah, this stuff ain't no joke, man. You gotta realize that like you too good for somebody putting their hands on you,
Hmm.
Yeah, you
and
took it.
you too beautiful. And when you look in the mirror, black eyes and busted lips, man, you gotta know that's not the way that you want to be represented, and
Yeah.
that's not the what
Right.
you want for your kids. And then you don't want to be laying in a bed with a man that's your enemy, because if this person or a woman, if this person is hurting you and putting their hands on you, abusing you in any kind of way, that's not love, and it's not the way
Right.
to take out your anger upon a situation not going your way, and now you putting your hands on this person. You know, and that's what's wrong with people. And they
Damn.
watch their dads and mom and fight and all that. And that's why I always try to tell my family members, like, don't do that in front of your kids, even verbal abusing and, physical, mental, all that stuff, man, all that stuff, it carries out from you to your kids. And that's where this curse coming from.
Yep.
Everybody feeling like that's the way to deal with situations.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's sad.
You said it perfectly.
Thank
When I
you.
was looking up some factors that are some reasons, I'm not going to say reasons, but just aspects of why domestic violence exists. One of the things that it highlights is low education, poverty. Let's see here. I wrote it down. But when I thought about it, just with those two factors alone, I feel like that it's just not low education and poverty.
No, no, I
Mm,
disagree with that. On the rich people get beat up too. Smart people get beat up too. It has nothing to do with your education or where you from or where you live. I think it has something to do with just the person that you are, the anger that you hold inside of you, the way that you decide to let it out. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They can't bottle up that reason for where a person, how a person living or what they have. Now they might got mad because they didn't have something, but that has to be in you. Because I have been in situations where I had nothing. I've been in situations where you can say I was in poverty. I've been in situations where I had a lot, but when I got mad, it didn't make me smash nobody head in, or you know what I'm saying? That has to
Yeah.
be something that it's a reason why you're doing this. You have to have that kind of anger built into you. Because no matter how mad my husband makes me right now, I never go upside his head because that's not the type of person I am, So it has something to do with like how you're raised, what you're around, and how you decide to like push our anger out upon people. Because
Mm,
it just
mm.
that's how I feel about the situation.
Do you think it has something to do with lack of respect, or this is just how I handle issues?
Both. I think both. I think both. Because I mean, have you ever saw, like, it's like it's to me it's another form of bullying too, because I have saw people in situations where they're getting beat up because they know that they can, like, make a person do this or scare them by coming at them that way too. So it can be a form of bullying, or
Yep.
just somebody just wants stuff to go their way. They're just like, Dick Tracy, I want you to go in here and do it, and you don't. And I know that I could beat you up because I feel that you're weak. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
that type of situation sometimes too. So
Yeah.
it's just
I agree with you. And it, like, just to kind of caveat what you said there, like, you said you looked up some statistics or information and it was due to low education, or what the other one was. I'm sorry, I forgot. But um, I agree with Cutie, and I agree with whatever the information was you found. I think it has a lot to do with the person themselves, how they were raised, like Cutie said, like how you were raised, how you were taught to handle a situation. And it also doesn't just happen in, with poverty or low educated people, impoverished people or low educated people. It's just that person, how they were raised, like Cutie said, how they were taught to handle situations. And a lot of it comes from an inferiority complex. If you mix all that together, it's an inferiority complex. Is
Hmm.
okay, I can't have my way, or I don't have control of certain things in my life, but there is one aspect of my life that I can control, and that's this person at home. And
Mm.
I can control them. I can bully them. I can make them the
another
object of
podcast.
my anger and take everything that I am so upset about that's not going my way in the world and take it out on them. And so I think it's a combination of all of that, you know.
So in that, does love ever really exist in those relationships?
I think that's a question that might be like B had said earlier. You don't understand people's circumstances sometimes, and what you or what I might consider to be love is something different to other people. You know, you might see somebody out there who they have their definition of what their love and what their relationship and how that's defined. And if it's defined by them being abused, then and that's all they know, then to them that's love. Abuse is love. Pain is love. We've heard that saying before. Pain is love. But
Yeah.
it's not. You know, to me it's not. It's not love. Pain is not love. You can't be in love and be in misery at the same time. It just doesn't make sense. So to ask me that question, I say no. But you know, I don't know what somebody else's circumstances might be to say that a painful relationship is a loving relationship or there is love in this painful relationship.
Interesting. What do you think in reference to that, Miss Cutie?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just coming back now. What was I'm sorry. I had to go get my baby.
Oh,
Sorry
it's
about that.
okay. Does love really exist in those relationships?
In my opinion, I feel like you can still love somebody, but at the same time, like that's why it still goes back to the person though. If that's in that person, they might love you, and they if
Right.
they grew up watching their father beat on their mom, right, and it's in them, they feel like that was the right way to deal with a woman. Then it don't stop them from loving the person that they with. If that's just how they feel, like that's how they react, to the situation to make this person do what they want them to do. So I feel like they
Mm.
can love that person that they're doing it to. It all depends on that person at the end of the day. Because like me,
Yeah.
if I love somebody, I don't want to hurt them. But that's the difference in between a person who you're gonna think that way, and then you got people who just like, I love this person, so I'm gonna beat them to make them stay here with me and make them scared to
Right.
leave. And that's how those situations come out. Like you can't say that they don't love you, but
That's
it's just a
crazy.
crazy situation.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's crazy.
Anything you would like to add, Miss Taylor?
Oh no, I'm just listening. I think it's just crazy. It's just so much to it. Cause I can't say I understand. But I see like videos and people go through it, and it's just sad.
Do
It's
you
just
feel like
sad. Then
love can still exist in that type of environment?
I don't know. It might. It might, but it depends on the person. Like Cutie said, it depends. I guess it depends.
I know in my past I had a domestic violence. I wouldn't call it domestic violence relationship, but there was a situation or two that occurred, and it was like since I seen my parents together, not saying that they had domestic violence going on, but they just stuck it out, kept making it work, whatever they had to do. So it's like you just think it's normal to make it work, not necessarily just,
Mm,
you get what I'm saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
You kind of
Yeah.
forget that you have an option to leave in a sense because you're too busy focused
Mm-hmm.
on
Exactly.
making it work.
Making it work. Yeah.
Because who wants to say
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
relationship failed? Who wants to say that?
Mm,
Mm-hmm.
nobody. Nobody. So,
Yeah. Nobody.
and nobody wants to say that. Everybody wants to try to work things out, especially if you love somebody. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I have saw some situations where the domestic violence, it starts kind of deep into the relationship. So you really be then got the good part of this person first. You know what I'm saying? The
Oh
sweet
yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
loving kind, the person that's taking you out, dining you, and doing all this sweet stuff to you, and then out the blue one day they just decide to go upside your head. And so you're gonna look back and be
Mm.
like, okay, this the first time he did this. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about all the
Right. It
good
would
stuff.
never.
You thinking
Mm.
that he wouldn't have never did this. It's just a situation, and we want him to stay. Then next thing time might go by, and then he do it again. And then it's like that's the hard part. That's what makes women stay, I think, for so long because they go through the good
Yeah.
part with this person and they think they get to know a whole total different person, and then after so long down the line, this real monster that's been inside of this person comes out. Or even for a man, you know what I'm saying? Because like women, like you said,
Mhm.
men, women be men too. It's been situations where I actually I'm gonna share this story. I had an auntie, Lord rest her soul. My auntie was a beast. She beat the mess out of her dude. Like this, it was sad to see a whole man like getting beat like this, and he couldn't get up with her for nothing. And that was my first time experiencing a woman just like actually going upside a man's head. But it wasn't like a if I get mad like a
Damn.
slap type. It was like a football ball up your fist, giving black eyes type situation to the point where
Wow.
he couldn't even fight her
Goodness.
back. And with me seeing that, it was like dang, like I never realized that men actually go through this too, because every time you look around it was like women, 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 but it's actually men. Like before this dude that got on here singing and his baby mama was beating him up, like I saw that a long time
Mm.
ago with my auntie, like actually manhandling this man. And it's a sad situation too because he stayed for a long time. And I used to think in my mind, because I was a little kid, I couldn't really understand like what was going on, but I used to think like I thought men were stronger than us. Like how is she beating him like that? You know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
it's like it's just a sad situation, man. And then it's like he was standing. I didn't understand. I'm like, why he stay there and just let my auntie beat him like that? And the men outside would
Yeah.
laugh at him because she would beat him outside and all type of
Mhm.
stuff. Like I
Yeah.
mean, one
That's
day she bit
crazy.
him. Like one day she tugged him and bit like a plug out of him. And I'm like, wow,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh my
It was
God.
crazy. So yeah, it was a crazy situation. Yeah, so it's just it's
That's
man.
crazy.
But these folks, man, I think these folks just be. I mean, I don't even know how they can do it though, because like I said, dude only had one time with me, and I just wish that everybody would just say, man, look, you worth more than that. You know, just sitting here going through
Yeah.
this, I need.
I think
Yeah,
Yeah.
no love worth it.
I think so in terms of a relationship with somebody or a marriage, I'm going to say a marriage. I don't know how many of us here at the table are married. I don't know how long, how many years we've been married, but you said something earlier, Infinite, about, wanting to make the relationship work, stick it out. And I think that if you love somebody, if there's mutual love in that relationship, you do want to work that out. If you and I have never been in a marriage or a relationship longer than 2 years or 5 years or 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, you want to make that work. That's something that's important to you in your life. It's just as important as your livelihood, your job. It's something that matters to you. That marriage matters to you. So I don't see anything wrong with wanting to make that work or take time to focus on making that relationship work. But the minute somebody goes upside your head or things become physical, then that's a red flag that this is no longer a relationship. This is a domestic violence situation, and you need to get out. You need to plan to get out. However long it takes you to get out is however long it takes you to get out. I know circumstances are different, but at that point, you don't need to be trying to focus in on making the relationship work. That's not a
Yeah.
relationship. That's
Yeah.
not. And one more
Yeah.
thing to share, a story real quick. When I was in the military and I was in charge of soldiers, I would occasionally take my soldiers out and try to get to know them on a one-on-one basis. So I took a couple of my soldiers out to Nashville one day, and we, hung out, had some drinks, whatever. The next morning, I couldn't find one of them because we all drove down there together. We was getting ready to drive back up to base. I couldn't find one of them. So I'm calling, calling. He ain't answering the phone. And finally, one of my other soldiers gets a hold of him and says that he's here. He's at this location. And so I go pick him up. He gets in the car and we're talking. And he's like, I just don't want to go home. I don't want to go home to my wife. He was married to his wife. What ended up happening, or what the story ended up being, is that his wife was a semi professional boxer
Mm.
and she was
Mm.
putting hands to him. And I had
Damn.
never, never had witnessed that. I mean, not that I witnessed her putting hands to him, but I had never heard of that, of a woman putting hands to a man and that being that domestic violence situation, and he didn't know how to
Mhm.
deal with it. He didn't want to go home. So,
Mm.
you say it happens to. I mean, it happens to. It's usually the men who are the domestic, the aggressors in this situation.
Mhm.
But it does happen to men. It does happen to children. It happens with, I think B said earlier. Mothers and children, uh, fathers and children. Any type of domestic violence situation. It can happen to anybody. But
Mhm.
I mean, it really is disgusting. I think somebody said earlier, and it's sad.
Yeah.
I think the numbers are so low when it comes to men because men don't report it. I think if more men reported
Exactly.
being abused by a female, physically abused by a female, the numbers would go up because there are a lot of men out here that's going through it.
Mm.
Now,
This
what do
Yeah.
you?
this
It's
if they
like they
take them
scared to say something.
seriously.
Right.
This if they take them seriously. Like this, like saying they posted on the internet about it, and a dude come in and be like, "Yo, are you serious? Like you actually can let a woman put
Right.
hands on you?" But it's all about if they believe you. Now
But
you can't have
it's
footage.
not about believing me. You got a job to do. You still
Mm-hmm.
supposed to take that report.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what are some factors that stop men from reporting?
Embarrassment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
ego.
just
Yeah,
gonna say that.
Yeah.
that's it.
Ego.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Ego.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ego. Yeah.
Feeling
Maybe some.
weak. Yep.
It just depends on like
Yes.
circumstances of a man. Some men might feel like they deserve it. Some men might feel
That,
like,
Maybe he was abused as a child.
yeah.
His mother might have abused
mm.
him as a child
Yep.
because
Yeah.
we
Childhood
attract what
trauma.
we attract who we are.
God bless
Yeah.
you.
And that when he ever, if he been through an abusive relationship with his mother, or his sister might have abused him, some female, and then he gets
Mm-hmm.
into a relationship, and the female he gets into the relationship with abuses him as well because he thinks that's normal.
That's what he knows.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
That's
shame, a
true.
lot of it has to do with shame too. A lot of men
Mm-hmm.
want to
Yeah.
portray, themselves as masculine, alpha male out here, and in the streets or whatever. And
Right.
then when they go home behind them doors, it's a whole different story. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and they
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure
Yeah.
that whoever they dealing with out there in the streets, or not even in the streets, professional setting, whatever it might be, if you around your boys,
Mm.
you want to maintain that alpha male, you know
Right.
persona.
Mm-hmm.
Like they
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
strong. Yeah.
Right.
Think they
But
strong
they
and
don't
stuff.
realize
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
the strong part of them is telling it. That is being
Yeah.
strong because that takes a lot of you to go to the police department and say, "My girl, my wife, this female is putting her hands on me."
Yeah.
Mm.
It's fake.
And if he
It's
and then like
crazy.
at the time, I feel like at first before they start reporting and taking everybody to jail, men wasn't
Mm-hmm.
telling because they was gonna take their woman's side, and then
Mm-hmm. Right.
and then they was gonna end up in jail. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
men wasn't saying nothing at first because it's like, I mean, I ain't gonna flash like just being a woman, you get mad and you think you can pop a man. You know what I'm saying? Then they hit
Yeah,
you back and it's like,
exactly. Oh,
he didn't hit. You
be
know what
ready
I'm
to call
saying? Nah, he didn't hit
911.
Right.
me.
Yeah.
You ready to hit
You said you
911
would
now
never
because
hit
you know
me.
he's finna
You
get
said
on.
you would
Exactly.
never, but you hit me first.
They
You hit
play
me
the
first.
Yeah.
They
But
try to
you
put
know,
that
Yeah.
victim
I
role.
have
we
something to
be
say to
ready.
women. I have something to say to women that do that. As my mama
Mhm.
say, if you can hit, you can get hit back. Don't
Exactly.
don't play the
Mm-hmm.
victim
Exactly.
when you get hit back and you put your hands on somebody. Because if you hit a female, she's gonna hit you back. So why is it
Right.
a double standard when you hit a man and he hits you back? You asked for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I had
Keep
Exactly.
your
her
hands to
too.
yourself. That's right.
Nah,
Shoot.
she was
Keep your
ready to
hands to
fight.
yourself.
See, some ladies think they can't get hit by a man. Like, oh, he won't hit me. But when they get
Box your
hit,
lips.
they be crying, ready to call
Okay.
911 and all that stuff, make a scene and everything. But they started
Mm-hmm.
it. It's
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep. But it ain't like
Mm-hmm.
that no
Wow.
more. Especially down here in Atlanta.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't having it down here in Atlanta. All y'all going to jail. The
See,
baby too.
exactly. Atlanta, boy.
Got the
Not the
baby.
Not
baby.
childhood service.
Okay, okay. I can't. But yeah, that's true though. Y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all a funny story because like I'm not an abusive person, but I actually had got in a situation one time where I had a dude and he was weak. I ain't gonna fly. She was a weak type
Mm-hmm.
dude anyway. But you know, he was doing stuff for me, so I was with him. But I had got to the point where I really didn't want to be with him no more. So I tried that because I knew he was one of those type of dudes you like, little pushover type dude or whatever. And I got mad at him one day, and I just jumped up and I started hitting him. I'm not that type of person, y'all, but I'm sure in a real honest situation with y'all. But I started hitting him, and I was just on him. I was just hitting him. You just need to leave. Just need to leave. And then mine stood up for the first time I ever saw, and picked my butt up and threw me in the closet. Y'all.
Gotta be careful with them. Don't
Did
fight.
it change? Did it change?
That
Your
was my
perspective on the
that
child?
was my learning lesson. After that, I said, "Baby, I never tried ever again." Because when I got up out that closet, and dust that little length out my hair, and I wasn't finna fight him no more. I said, "No, you dust that length." I said, "No,
Men have feelings
no,
too.
you didn't hit me." But they do though.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You can't put your hand on no man thinking that, because at the end of the day, they actually don't matter how they act, how we sometimes dudes don't hit you because they, you know what I'm saying, they just don't want to hit a woman. Some of them raised to not hit a woman, but man,
And they may have
hey,
seen
you
their
can push
mother get
anybody
beat.
to that point. Yeah. Yeah, you can push anybody to that point. So I never tried dumbing again. I was happy he did stand up for himself. I left him alone, but you know, I still was like, shoot, because I had the nerve to say, "You didn't hit me. I'm finna get my brother." But the whole time I was popping dude first, so I'm like, yeah, I was wrong for that. You just leave. It's time to part ways, because that's the thing, man. When you get to that point where y'all want to put y'all hands on each other, it's time to part ways anyway. Cause fighting and all that, that's not it. That's not the
But
relationship
people
right
like
there.
that toxic. People like that
Some
toxic
people
shit.
do.
Yeah,
I just
people
don't
love being
understand
in a
it.
toxic relationship.
They
Exactly.
Yeah, they
do.
do.
Because you know
Yeah.
they think that they love them. If you don't beat me, you don't love me, and that's because they've been through something else. They've seen something else, and that's why they think that's okay.
What's wrong, sir?
Their father beat them, or you know they seen their mother get beat, so they think that's the thing to do, and that's why they
Right.
like toxic relations. And it's not even that they like it; they don't know any different.
Yeah,
That's
I
that's
agree with
true.
that. I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's it right there. That's it, be.
So
And that's
how
why
do
I
you
you
have
like
to
me a
watch
bad boy
what you let
too,
your
but
kids
you ain't gonna
see.
knock me upside my head.
so how do you educate yourself to
Not at
know
all.
that you don't deserve that?
You gotta love you first.
Right, love yourself. Yes.
Girl, you better say that. You better say that, B. That's it, man.
Exactly.
Because
B.
it's like looking at, like I said, man, looking in the mirror at a busted eye, lip, and I don't even want to see a bump on my face. I ain't trying to say I'm arrogant, but I think I'm too cute, baby, for to be waking up feeling like I need to be putting some
Right.
glasses on for some man that's laying
Right.
up in the bed with me, getting my good stuff, then turn around and put his hands on me and hurt me. No, baby, you ain't. No, this ain't that for me. So when I look in the mirror at my own self, that's got to be like, man, I love myself too much for your hands to leave prints on me. So, nah,
What you
you
said.
gotta
Exactly.
love yourself. I should say it.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I think a
because
lot of us don't
anytime.
have like. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I think a lot of us don't have like a lot of black men, women, people in general. We don't have a good example of what a healthy relationship looks like.
Okay.
We
Or
don't
self
have
Role
that.
love.
model. Yes.
Or
Yes.
self
Self
love.
love. Yes.
We don't have that example. So if we don't have that example, it's kind of hard to be like, I'm gonna love myself today when I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what not disrespecting myself looks like. I don't know what not disrespecting somebody else looks like. So if you can find a good example of a healthy relationship, or maybe you might see it, you know, everything just because you see something don't mean that it is the way it is on the surface.
Right.
But you know,
Exactly.
I can think of
Yeah.
times where like my relatives, you know, an uncle and my aunt, being around them and seeing their healthy relationship and seeing that there was really love in that relationship. Now, did they fight and argue? Absolutely,
Yeah.
they fought and argued. You know what I mean? But was it physical? To my knowledge, no. And it never seemed that way when they
They never
were
allowed you to see it.
right. They at least never
Yeah.
allowed me to see it. So I got to see what a healthy relationship looked like through them. And I think that's what a lot of these people, a lot of not these people, but a lot of us who end up in these kinds of toxic relationships, domestic violence relationships, need to see, and we don't get to see that.
Yeah.
And so we just keep repeating that cycle. I think, you know, Cutie said earlier, we just keep repeating that cycle. This is love. the belt
Mm-hmm.
versus, whatever, something that's less violent, or my hand versus, a hug or whatever it is, however
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous it might sound to you, that shows that you care about somebody. If you want to,
Right.
you care. I guess I'll just leave it at that.
I was at another talk show in here, and we was talking about domestic violence there, and I brought up the topic of disciplining our children.
Yeah,
And someone
yeah,
said, I beat my kids, and they said there's a difference between beating and abuse. But where does the thin line draw when you beating a child, wanting them to control them, for them to do what you want them to do? What about the mental abuse, the scars that you don't see?
Mm.
yeah. That's a good point.
And
It is
we
a good
can't
point.
talk about slavery and how they used to beat us if we beating our own kids.
Yep.
That is
Not to say that I ain't
Question.
never beat my kids. I beat the hell out of my kids. Yes, I did. But when I look at it now, when I look at it now, and I listen to my kids how they talk about certain things, and I think about it, I'm like, I should have never put my hands on my kids.
So you don't see it as discipline though?
You
Just
can
simply
discipline your
discipline?
children without beating them.
Yeah.
But see, what we don't do, we don't raise our children. We don't. When you raise a child from birth to understand right from wrong and what you're not supposed to do, what you should do, that's how you raise a child. When you train up a child in the way it should go. But we don't do that. We sit our children in front of cell phones. We sit our children in front of TVs, in front of Coco Melon. We sit our children in front of all kinds of stuff that does not raise our children.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
We as parents, we sit and we on our cell phones and not even paying attention to our kids. We are our children's first experience, their first love, their first everything. So if you're not the prime example, who is? So
That's
we can't
true.
get
That's
mad when our
true.
children grow up and do other things. We didn't set the example. We didn't set the foundation for them from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand you love your children and you want to spoil them, but sometimes that spoiling can ruin them.
It definitely
Ooh,
can.
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
say that, girl. Better say that.
He get out here
Exactly.
or she get out here later on in life, and then you wonder why. Oh, they always stay in jail, or they always fighting. They always because you never set the boundaries from the beginning, the foundation that this is how a productive adult acts.
Yep.
Instead of sitting them in front of the TV for Coco Melon to raise them.
Yep.
I know a
Mm.
lot of young kids or young parents that do that. I used to babysit a little girl, and her mother was like, "Oh, she loved Coco Melon. She got 1 hour of Coco Melon in my house. 1 hour." My granddaughter, all she do is sit with the tablet and watch YouTube all day long, and just as
Mm-hmm.
grown as a hot spot.
Mm.
And I tell my daughter, "You need to control that." She's 4 years old, and she talk to you like she's 50.
Mm.
But that's because she sit and watch YouTube all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta be our children's example. If we stop being our children's example, somebody else is raising our kids.
Exactly.
True that.
It
And
is
then once you
true.
understand, I don't mean to, I'm sorry, but once you kind of understand the history of a whooping,
Mm-hmm.
or beating, or whatever you want to call it, with the belt, when B touched on it, you understand what the history of that, slave masters beating their slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and because they ain't listening, they're trying to get them to do what they want them to do. They ain't moving fast enough, and you kind of see how that's incorporated to how, slaves, we see that, okay, master's beating us because we ain't doing what he wants us to do. Well, now I see
Right.
that, and I'm gonna implement that into how I raise my child.
Mm-hmm.
When I need them to do something, I'm gonna beat them, and I'm gonna call it love. I'm gonna say that I do this because I love them. What are you
Mm.
teaching them? How's that discipline?
Hmm.
You
That's
beating me
true.
like a slave. You're taking, and when you say it's
Teach
love,
them. That's how you raise them. You teach them.
exactly, you teach it. And then they grow up, and what do? Exactly what B said. They
Mm-hmm.
do exactly what we're talking about right now on this podcast. They
Mm-hmm.
grow up to do this, all these negative things. And yeah, you're gonna find people who say, I'm glad that my parents beat my behind as a kid because it helped me to be. But what you or it helped me to be a better person. But what you fail to realize is that it might have helped you to be a better person, stay in line. What you fail to realize is that that's not love. That's not the way.
Mm-mm.
That's not the only way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. It's not the
Like
only
my
way.
son is 15 years old. For me to beat him, that's a fight.
You gotta fight
This
him.
different. This
He
teenage
taller
level.
than me. Yeah, he
This
taller than me.
teenage
He
Exactly.
bigger
level.
than me. That's a fight.
He might
That means I
grab
gotta
you.
ball up my fist and hit him.
Punch him in his
Why would I want to
chest.
get into a fight
You
with my
do.
son?
You got to get a broom and some
Yeah,
more Bob.
exactly.
Yes.
Man,
Exactly.
Girl,
You gotta
you gonna need
box
more
Why
than
would I
that.
want to fight
You
my
gonna need more than
son?
that.
Why?
Exactly.
I guess on the
Yeah,
say
there's
about
more
that
ways
too.
you could talk.
I had like a little situation with my sister and her son, and
Mm-hmm.
it was something dealing with school. So she had called me. She was like, "Are you gonna pick up your nephew?" I was like, "Yeah, he get out of school at 2:15 and shit." So she was like, "Well, something happened. You need to go pick him up." So
I'll be
pick him
right
up
back,
and
y'all. I'm
shit.
sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, girl. So pick him up or whatever. And she was like, "You need to take him home." So I had took him to the house. I went to work and came back, and he was at our house, well, my house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, did they get the fighting or something? Like, what happened? So my sister had, ended up calling me, and she was like, "Is so and so over there?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Y'all must." I mean, he must then come to the house or something. She was like, "Yeah, but I guess he had ended up calling my mom and my stepdad to come get him, cause she
Mm-hmm.
know for a fact if she got home, she was gonna have to whoop his ass, and not even
Mm-hmm.
whoop, cause he's tall as hell. He big. He in the
Mm-hmm.
ninth grade,
That's a
so
daggone
that was
fight.
gonna turn to a brawl.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a good thing that he did took the opportunity to call and come stay with us for a little while. To going home and y'all get to find and he could, come over here and crying and get
Mm-hmm.
mad and shit. So yeah, there was like a little situation that happened, and I'm just glad he did take that route to come over here and not get into no brawl, because that shit right there, B. I'm
And
telling y'all,
that
he
is
damn near
domestic
taller than
violence.
me.
That's that's domestic
That-
violence. A parent against a child. That is domestic violence. And when it goes through, if the police get called and the courts get involved, that is domestic
there gonna be
violence.
another situation. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the age
Mm-mm.
limit on whoopings? Butt whoopings and stuff.
Girl, I say if you get into the at least the seventh grade, like you can't whoop me no more. Now I really felt like when I got to high school, like you really can't whoop me. That's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But
I,
a little situation happened where my mama tried to comfort me and shit. And you know what I'm saying? I was still young and shit, and I was just it was a experience that I haven't experienced before. Like
Mm-hmm.
you really tried to comfort me. So I wasn't really in the fine mood type shit. So when we had got into it again, you know what I'm saying? She put her hands on me. I was just like, girl, you ain't finna do that. So I feel like I had to defend myself because I don't know how you coming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So ever since then, like we ain't never got into no altercation, physical, anything, because I know what the outcome gonna be. I know
Mm-hmm.
me. So we just rather just keep it right there. If you got something to say, hell, say it. We gonna keep it pushing. So
And
to answer your question,
Sorry.
I say when you get to high school, you can't put your hands on me no more.
that's
You
why I feel
can't.
like behind whippings should never even started. Because how do you judge a age limit for your butt to be whooped?
Cause eventually they gon' have to fight you back. Cause they
Yeah,
gonna be
but
sick and tired
what's
of
the
it.
purpose of whooping them if they too old to get a whooping?
This back to what y'all was saying. You trying to
Whoop
discipline them to do
yourself.
something that you want. They can't.
Whoop yourself because you didn't
They
raise
can't be.
raise them
They
right.
said they.
That's why you
They
mad.
can't
Whoop
be.
yourself.
I'm saying they
that's no,
whooping
that's
them
what I'm
to
saying.
discipline them to
That's what
do
I'm
what they
saying.
want
Like
them to do.
I don't have
Mm-hmm.
kids. I don't have kids, so I can't I can't relate on a level of people who have kids or nothing. But I
Right.
to answer your question, if I had kids, I can only do hypothetically. I don't believe in it. Now, did I get whoopings growing up? Yes, I did. Did it make me uh, think about my behavior? Truthfully, no,
Mm-mm.
absolutely not. I would take the
Really?
ass whooping. I'd take the
Once it
whoop
was
my
over,
ass,
you was
whatever.
ready to do it again.
Exactly. It's just temporary pain. It's just
Yeah.
temporary pain. You
And
know
she
what I
ain't
mean?
gonna do
Like
my
so,
beat me.
you know.
Right.
I'm still living, I'm still breathing, so I don't believe in it. Now, maybe my perspective might change if I have kids. I don't know, but I don't see that as discipline. So to answer your question, I can't answer your question because I don't believe in it. I know that's not popular. It might not be popular around the table, might not be popular around the world, but I just don't see it as discipline. I see it as abuse.
Right.
It's abuse.
As a
And
child, my
people are
father
like,
didn't play that. You ain't whip his kids. My mother used to have to sneak and try and beat me when my father wasn't home. I ain't never had an ass whooping. Ever. My
we
father didn't
had
play that.
when I was a kid, I think it was like fourth grade, we had this girl who got in trouble, and her mom came up there. Teacher called her mom, and the teacher had a mom on
Oh
speed
shit.
dial.
Mm.
Called her mom up there. Mom came up there in the class and started whooping her ass in front of the class. Now, let me ask you this: is that discipline or is that abuse?
Mm.
Right? I think it's abuse. Some people say it's discipline. Why are you doing this in front of the class? Why are you doing it? Period. Right?
You know
I don't
what?
know.
This crazy. I had a when I was in elementary, they had a parent come to the classroom and book me in front of the whole class because they feel like,
I think
well,
we all had that
yes,
happen.
Oh
not me, B.
No, that's
Hell no, because I
I
knew
embarrassing.
didn't
I knew not to
know.
keep my
That-
L.
No,
oh
I'm
my
talking about. I'm talking
god.
about having a classmate parent
Oh
come in
yeah,
because I did too. I had
because
Eric
they
Loney. I'll
see
never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Oh my
but
god,
they
Hey,
see
cause
it
they
yeah.
look
as,
at it
you know,
like
if I
you
whoop
clown in
you,
front of everybody, you get
This where I'm
that
gonna
butt
whoop your
whooped in
ass.
front of
Right. And
then
then
I
I
everybody.
do,
look
I do
right
like what I'm
again.
finna say. I
That's
do like that.
embarrassing.
Yeah, I do like that. Yeah.
It is embarrassing.
That's how
But
they feel.
But you
eventually
know
they
Now I'm
gonna
gonna
what?
do
tell
it
you something
again.
though. No,
What
but
what what were
no,
we taught?
you.
What other way were we taught to discipline our children? We
That's the
learned
way.
to be abusive. That's what we
Exactly.
learned. We were never taught any other way to raise our children
Hmm.
Yeah,
or
that's
to
true.
discipline them. We were never taught any other way.
Can I
King,
speak?
yeah, Miss Kingpin.
Okay. Now I usually don't open up like this, but this is one topic that I had to sit back there and roll up real quick before I got in here because yeah, you know what I mean. So my situation is a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I don't usually open up like this. So I was taken from my mom at birth,
Come on
and
over.
I
Come on
was
over.
and I was raised in the foster care system. So it's a little bit different when it comes to whooping or beating a child when you're in the system. You know what I'm saying? Some of them abide by the rules and some of them don't.
Some don't.
Certain homes that I went into, my skin peeled off my body,
Mm.
and
Mm.
some I got sick. They didn't hit us, but when you stuck in a garage all night long, well, carbon running, oils, fuels,
Abuse.
gasoline, stuff like
Mm.
that. You know what I'm saying? Or when you military punish, pretty much running, push ups, sit ups, doing all of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? That I wouldn't necessarily say that was discipline. In a sense, it's discipline, but like she said, that's definitely abuse because some of these kids, from experience, one of my best friends in the system who was staying with us, he killed himself.
Mm.
Mm.
Damn.
He
Damn.
killed himself.
He couldn't
I
take it
had
no
a
more.
Damn.
I had a friend in the 6th grade. He was only I think he was 11 or 12 years old. 2 days after the 9/11, he killed himself. And
Oh
mind you, we was
gosh.
10 and 11 and 12. You know what I'm saying? So we
Oh.
have understanding of what's going on now. We in that stage of life where everything processing now. It's like, dang, that's what that. You know what I'm saying? We get the light bulb flashing. You know what? You ain't finna just keep hitting on me. Me in the sense like I got beat to, like I said, to the skin peeled off. I couldn't even. I had to wrap in ace bandages and go to school. Like wear long sleeves and
So nobody wouldn't
turtlenecks in the
see it.
summertime. And you know what I'm saying? Like it was bad. You know what I'm saying? So like now that I have kids, I know better. And my voice is enough for my son. Now I done had to get in his ass when he was about 3, 4 years old, but I haven't had to get on his ass like that since, and he's 12 now. You know
He
what I'm
learned.
saying? But
He learned
anytime
his
he
lesson.
gets out of line, He lives with his mom though. His mama call me. That's all she have to do. I'm gonna call your daddy. Every time before that, anytime she threatens to whoop him, I say, you better not whoop my son. You better not whoop my son, especially not in front of me. Just like you said, your dad always saved you. You ain't getting no whoopings. Now I whoop my son ass, but I'm gonna save him too. Because I know that if you whoop him, he, like you was saying, he get to that size and that age where he too big to be getting whoopings.
You put that nigga in a chokehold.
And that shit ain't gonna work because since he was a kid, I've been raising him up to defend himself. Always defend himself.
Yeah.
Now I'm 6'3". My son is 12 years old. Guess how tall he is?
Almost 6.
You know what I'm saying? He's almost tall as his mom. So it ain't none of that. You just gonna whoop me. So when he get in trouble or school call, she call me. I pulls up. You already know what time it is, boy. And he tighten up. I don't even have to whoop him. But I spin the block a few times, have a conversation with him, get him some McDonald's or some ice cream. I love you. But your mama call me again next time, I'm in your ass. And he learned. You know what I'm saying? Now he's getting older to the point where he's following other people and getting in trouble that way. Now, when you get into a point where like the school or let's say she was, I gotta put my headset on. Charge, hold up. For this thing die, because I'm feeling good right now. I was feeling bad earlier. Now y'all done woke up a real one. So now he in the stage where he following other kids. The kids doing mischievous stuff in the apartment complex, this, that, and the third. Now his mom calling me talking about, look, now mind you, I'm on child support. I've been on child support since child support was child support. So she now she calling me. I've been begging her my whole life. Look, man, let me get him. Let me get him.
Right.
Let me get him. Let me get him. He getting to that age. Let me get him. Let me get him.
Right.
She always tell me no, but she's steady taking my child support money, and she's steady calling me when he getting out of line. Instead of you calling me, how about you give me a year with him? And if his behavior is not changed, or if you feel this, you can have him back, and I'll continue to pay.
She's afraid of losing
support.
her baby. That's all.
But that's what it is. Now she's scared to lose him because now he's getting to the point where
she
what you doing to me, it ain't you. And I've been telling her his whole life, like, he gonna need his daddy. Every time you try to keep me from him, he gonna remember that. He ain't gonna look at me as no deadbeat. You are. You're trying to beat it into him when he knows when he's with me, it ain't nothing but love. I can't even tell you how many family members on her side that he actually know. But I can tell you, everywhere I go, when I got him, he go. I don't care if it's to the strip club. He going. Not literally, but I'm just saying, in the sense of everywhere I go, he gonna go.
Right.
And everybody I meet, he gonna meet. All the way from girlfriends to homeboys to homegirls to ex-girlfriend. Like, he meeting everybody because he need to know all their face. Anything happen to me, he know exactly what going on.
You need to know who door he can knock on.
Right.
And you showing him something. You showing him
and
something.
I'm showing him at the end of the day, when he do cross that line, I do have to get with him. Like, what? I grab him by his shirt and send his ass to the roof.
And that too, with y'all being separated, that's another thing that he's going through as well.
Right.
But what child don't want their parents together?
I mean, my son haven't really experienced me and his mom together. Probably like when he was like 1 year old, we was working on it, but it just got to the point where it just wasn't working for me. I was unhappy.
Even though he's never experienced y'all together, he see other kids with their parents, and he's like, wow, so why my parents can't be together?
So I tried his whole life to try to get his mom to understand that co-parenting is important. We could deal with him together. Well, people might think that we're together, but we could live separately. But any demands that I feel that I should implement into him, she feels like I'm just trying to take him away from her. But no, at the end of the day, I'm not allowed to be in his life all the time. So the little time that I do get, let me get it. Let me get it. Because now it's one, teaching him, and two, when he comes back to you, he's learned something. He's not going to be acting up. He's not going to be, you know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I teach my son respect. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. No, sir.
Yeah.
Polite. You know what I'm saying? He good with other people. Now when he get around the kids, he be a kid. They be clowning and joking and roasting. As adults, we do it too. You know what I'm saying? They see what they see and they repeat what they see. They see us do everything. So they, as kids, you hear a lot of kids cursing and stuff like that. But I've never heard a curse word come out my son's mouth, but I heard he done
He ain't
cursed
gonna let
before.
you hear it.
So boom, I tried him one day.
He ain't gonna let you hear it.
Hey, I tried him one day. So I was told, I got a phone call and said my son was out here cursing. So I, come here, boy, come here. You out here cursing? No, I ain't cursing. No, I ain't cursing. Man, I don't care. What was said? He said B word. Say the B word. Say bitch. No, Daddy told me not to say it. I'm telling you, you're not gonna get in trouble. You're not gonna get in trouble. This is your first freebie. Say bitch, cause that's, I know you done said it, cause I hear your friends, the people you running around with, saying it. So say it, bitch. I almost fainted. I say, boy, if I ever hear you say any cuss word again, you sound like a little white boy. Like, what is you? You don't even sound right cursing. You don't even sound right cursing. So when you do that, what do you think they see when they see that? What do you think they see when they see us clowning and cursing and stuff like that as kids? When we know we're not supposed to be doing this as kids.
Right.
So let me ask a question. I got a question before we close this out. Do y'all think that cheating is a form of domestic violence?
I have a different
No.
view on cheating. I have a totally
No.
different view on cheating.
No,
I do.
Violence is cheating is not
nice
violence.
rocks.
I mean, if you look, whatever your definition of cheating is, I mean, I have a definition on cheating too, but it's not violence. You have no intent to harm. I mean, okay, so yeah, you
Because
can
of
harm
the
somebody emotionally.
psychological, yeah, and emotional.
Yeah, you can harm them,
But
but
that's your fault.
violence,
That's your fault if you allow
yeah,
that to psychologically mess you up. That's your fault.
it's not an act of violence though. It's not an act of physical harm or violence. And if we're talking about domestic violence, yeah, there are emotional aspects to it, but we're talking about domestic violence, physical harm, or the intent to physically harm or kill somebody in that relationship that you're in. Cheating doesn't physically harm you. Cheating doesn't kill you. That might kill you inside, right? But it don't kill you physically. You're not, you're still here. You still bounce back from that.
Yeah.
So I can't see a relation to the two.
Me and cheating have a love-hate relationship. I don't believe in cheating because until you put a ring on it, until you change my last name, I'm single, boo. I do what I want to do.
Exactly.
And that
I
was
like that.
And
That's-
who
see,
I
we on
wanna
the same
do.
page.
And who I
We on
want
the
to do.
same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We put stipulations on other people in relationships, and then when they decide to have conversation or have another quote unquote relationship, you cheated on me. I didn't cheat on you. We not married. We not, we just dating each other. And people say, well, what if we exclusive? Exclusive to do what?
Right.
Y'all in a relationship.
To do, we all in relationships.
Yeah, but I feel
But you
like
get
if
another friend, you cheated on me, Davion.
no,
You cheated on me. You get another friend, you cheated on me.
No,
You cheated on her?
that's
You cheated on
different.
me. Yeah, no, it's
I
not.
feel like if y'all
It's still a
into each other
relationship.
and
They
y'all
cheat
stick
on me
y'all
all the
focusing.
time, being.
Wait a
Hey,
minute,
Shay.
this ain't gonna be on me. Wait a minute.
They are a habitual cheater because he cheated on me with you.
No, I feel like if you talk to an individual, y'all fuck with each other, and y'all in a relationship with each other, why
There's
would you
no
feel the need to go
contract in
talk to somebody
relationships.
else? It doesn't matter about no contract. That's your fucking boyfriend or girlfriend.
No.
That's A and B. You're not gonna put
No.
C in it.
We did that. We did that. There's no contract in relationships. We put
B.
stipulations on people. You mines and you ain't going nowhere else.
No.
You mine.
If you date somebody,
I
right,
saw still in the
and
party. Okay.
you could
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
just like you dating several people, right?
Mm-hmm.
and you choose this one motherfucker that you really like. So you telling me if you pick him, you still gonna date other people?
You
That's
How
chose
you
me. You
right,
chose
right.
me. She
right
chose
after I
me.
done chose 2, 3 other people that I was feeling, I chose you. So
But
now we
I
finna
didn't
take it
But
to
choose
the
I
you.
didn't
next
choose you to
level.
be exclusive.
But you agreed
Mm.
to it if you chose.
I didn't choose
If
you.
you
You chose
agree
me.
to it, okay. If I choose you, so that means you don't want to choose me back. So
I
that
don't
might as
have
well,
to.
you might as well don't even fuck with me. This how
I'm
I
not
see it.
obligated to. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that person's
In a
not
But why
relationship, you're
obligated
waste
not
to.
my
obligated.
time? Why do that though? You don't have to be obligated, but why you have to take this route?
But
You
see,
could
this is
just
this
simply
is where
say, let's be friends.
it goes left because we put stipulations on people to be exclusive to us when they can't. We don't own people. If we're in a relationship and we're enjoying time with each other, let's do that.
Yeah.
But you can't say, well, you can't talk to nobody else because that you don't own them. You don't. There's no contract between relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, you want to be exclusive with that one person. You want that person to be you and them to the end. And I understand that, Xavier. And I understand where you're coming from with it. Like, trust me,
Right.
I get it. I've been in that situation where I have been, I've never cheated, but I have been cheated on. And I understand it's me and you. It's supposed to be me and you out here against the world. I get that.
Right.
But you got to understand something like B is saying. I mean, you going to have your opinions. I ain't trying to sway your opinions or nothing, you know, or whatever. We're going to have our
Hmm.
disagreements. But
Right.
exactly what B is saying, like, just because B chose me don't mean that I'm obligated to her, right? Like okay, yeah, I fuck with B. Yeah, we might be hanging out together, spending time together, but like you just said, that's all that is. It's not that I don't care about you, B. It is not I don't
Right.
care about you. It's just that I'm not obligated to say that okay, you are my one, and I'm not gonna do anything with anybody else unless now my view on marriage is different, might be a little bit
You
different
take
from
a
yours, B, but
vow in marriage to be exclusive. You take a vow.
Right.
In friendship, there's no vow. We just hanging. We just kicking it.
So
So
when
are
it
you
gets to the
saying in
point to where
marriage,
y'all two
it
are
would
getting
be
married,
domestic violence? Cheating would be domestic violence.
No, it's still not. Even in domestic violence. I mean, even in marriage, it's not domestic violence. Domestic violence, like he said, is a
what?
physical act. It's a physical act upon another person. Like we said in the
Mm-hmm.
last podcast, you can't be hurt unless you allow yourself to be hurt. When
Mm.
you allow yourself to be hurt, that's when you get dismayed and you feel some type of way because you allowed yourself to feel as though, okay, we exclusive, you ain't supposed to be dealing with nobody. That's your definition of relationship. It may not be the same definition for somebody else.
Can I speak on this?
Mm-hmm.
mm,
Okay. I'm here. I've been on both sides of the fence. Younger, naive, in love, in lust. That's how I was thinking. After being grown, after getting my heart broken, after seeing that friendships is exactly what it is, a friendship. You could be friends with whoever you want to and shouldn't have to get in trouble for it or feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I grew up learning that like a relationship with one person is a same thing as a vow. Like that's like you said, we made it that way. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But as I done got my heart broken as just a friend, I'm just your friend, and you making me feel like this. Like it's not domestic, but it's emotional abuse. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I my brain was messed up as a kid, you know what I'm saying, growing up the way that I did. You know what I'm saying? That psychological abuse is what I dealt with after the
But you
fact that
can
I
only
wasn't,
be emotionally abused if you allow it.
and I allowed it thinking like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I can have one, two, three, four, or five, six different females that I emotionally connect with in the same building and not worry if they beefing with each other or mad at me about
Mm-hmm.
it. I don't care if you mad, but I still like all y'all. I still want to go out with all y'all. I still want to date all y'all. It don't matter to me. But I'm not finna commit to none of y'all unless y'all ready for that ring or y'all
Mm-hmm.
ready to give y'all life to me for real. At the end of the day, who's to say tomorrow you might give your life to this dude and I ain't know nothing about him. So now I ain't even got you no more. You know what I'm saying? So it's what you make it. And my friendships are valuable to me, and I can have as many friends as I want to, and we all be able to come together and friend it. You know what I'm saying? Be friends. All us can be friends. But at the end of the day, when I make that connection with you, that emotional connection to where marriage and stuff like that is involved, that's when things change. But I feel like I had to get my heart
and I
broken
understand
as
how
a,
he feel. I do.
going through that. And now I don't want to get my heart broken no more. So I think like that so that I don't get my heart broken. But when that connection happens, then I can expect to get my heart broken because now we both came in together. And until we both came in together, just like she was saying, you chose her. She ain't choose you. So you're ready to give yourself to her, but she's still out here being friends, having friends, chilling and vibing. So you can't expect her to care about how you feel if y'all ain't on the same page. So when you choose her and she chooses you, then and only then you can connect and have all of that extra stuff within.
Because when you're on the same page, people don't cheat.
Exactly.
It's when you're not
You
on the
do
same
better.
page,
Exactly.
is when people go out and have another relationship.
Exactly.
Because they'll tell you what you want to hear, but in their mind, that's not what they want to do.
Yeah.
They just want to do, they're going to tell you that for the moment to either get what they want to get, or for some people just like to hold on to other people in case they decide this ain't what they want and they can come back to you. When you invest yourself in people that are not invested in you, that's where the heartbreak come in. You have to know what you're doing when you get into relationships that you want to be exclusive in. Because other than that, bitch, I do what I want to do. Who I want to do. I go where I want to go. Come when I get ready to come. And that's my choice. Now, until you make that commitment, that investment into me, that until then, I'm free. Because when you fill out an application on your job, it don't say complicated. It don't say in a relationship. It says single, married, widowed. So you need to take your life into that same aspect. Into that same aspect. I can't put you down on my application. So why are we feeling though that, it's just you and I? And that's where people make the wrong moves and they get heartbroken because they expected unrealistic expectations out of a human being that does not have the capability of being exclusive. Because once we see something that we like, whether it be the eyes, the heart, the mouth, the butt, we gonna go for what we want.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't understand why people get into relationships if you still want to do what you want to do, or even get married. You got people that get married and still want to cheat. Why? Why don't you just stay single? Because now you hurting other people that thought a different way. That thought this was a relationship, thought this was exclusive. And that's not really what they wanted. To be honest from the get-go.
Well, on that note, before we close out, Shay, do you have any remarks that you want to, speak on the topic regarding domestic violence?
You on mute, baby.
First, I want to apologize for being so late, love. I was in the meeting and I could not come out of that party I was in to answer your party invite. But as far as I really came in late on the back end, so I thought y'all were talking about relationships for a moment. Unless you were talking about like emotional abuse.
Well, we was talking about domestic violence, but we ended up in relationship as far as domestic violence in relationships. Yes.
Well, me and my husband, we've been married almost 10 years now. We've dealt through ups and downs and issues with our marriages. I said within our relationship. As far as domestic violence, that's something that's like in the culture, in the southern culture, you grow up seeing a certain type of thing and thinking that's the norm.
And it's not
Mm-hmm.
until you get older and you realize that that's not. And so that was kind of like my outlook growing up, that I expected him to be a certain type of way. And once I realized that he just want that dude and that there's just that not all men aren't like that or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then I was able to see that and whatever. But especially in black society, I believe a lot of domestic violence and little issues and stuff come from us not talking about it and knowing that that's even, you know, something going on, because I've been emotionally abused growing up, like
Mm-hmm.
neglectful. I mean, being neglected and like ignored, that's abuse in itself. And
Yes.
so
Mm.
that's the only type of like real
That shit must be good.
violence that I had like been through, and that was like something that affects you as an adult. So you become an adult, you expect someone to be like and whatever, because that's the type of
Environment you're
portrayal of
used
a
to.
man you see growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's really all I had to say on the subject.
We definitely appreciate you for
Yeah, but as
sharing your
far as like
perspective.
my relationship is good. I mean, as far as like what you were saying about being single or
Mm-hmm.
being married, like we're married. We've been together for years. Even before we were legally married, we were legally entangled, like with our businesses and whatever. So, as far as like when we do how our relationship is, we know each other. Like we know each other, and we know that I I come to you for a certain energy that I probably, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I may need to go to someone else for a certain energy that you can't provide me. Like he can't come to
Mm-hmm.
me and talk about certain things that he needs to, because I can't emotionally respond well. And so, and
Mhm.
it's vice versa and whatever. So we give each other that leeway to, be sociable and whatever. That don't mean you have to
That's
fuck on
beautiful.
somebody else.
That's
It's
beautiful.
Right.
just mean it's okay to have emotional connections for other people, because we know that, like, I'm saying emotional connections, but I'm not, not like the Metabu love. It's not about love. It's just about you go to different people for different energies. And
Yeah.
so we
Mm.
understand that about each other, and that's how we're able to like maneuver with dealing with people and whatever.
Sounds beautiful.
It's a very mature perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All
That's
right.
amazing.
So before we close on out, this was a lovely show. I love it. I learned some things. I love hearing everybody's story. Any closing remarks, starting with Dick
Yes.
Tracy?
Um, if you or somebody you know is going through domestic violence, there is help out there. There's hotlines that you can reach out and call. There are websites you can go to. There are friends, people that you can talk to. Don't be ashamed, male, female, whatever the case might be. Reach out to somebody, get some help, and get yourself in a better situation and in a better position to grow. That's all I got.
Bia?
Never accept abuse for love, because love doesn't hurt.
Mm.
Kingpin?
Hmm. Yeah, domestic violence to me is a crime.
Yes.
True.
Cutie?
Yeah. Um, that you too good, so let somebody put their hands on you. You're better than that. You don't have to stand for it. Just get away from it.
Okay.
Zay?
Um, if you know you the type of person that don't want to want nobody to put their hands on you, if you feel like you getting threatened or they come real aggressive, just leave their ass alone. I ain't even got time
Mm.
for it.
Nothing
Mm-mm.
wrong with
That's
leaving.
all I got.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I ain't got time. I'm just walk
Don't
out.
put your hands on me,
Exactly.
and I won't put my hands on you.
Hello.
Right.
That part.
Period. Yes.
Taylor Made?
Oh, that that you're loved. If you don't have to stay
Yes.
in that relationship to be in love. Like to be loved, you can find love in other places, and your family loves
Mm-hmm.
you or your friends loves you. You don't have to stay with
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Facts.
And all I have to say is know your worth.
Yeah.
Know your worth.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
no, yeah, your word. Yes.
And with that being said,
Yeah, one.
y'all have a good day.
Good night. Thank y'all. Good blessing. Good night.
Blessings.
Yes. This is good.